So when it comes to weight vests, there are a ton of options out there. It's almost overwhelming at this point. However, today I'm going to be talking about a weight vest that I feel like doesn't quite get the props or the attention it deserves. And I'd be willing to bet that a lot of you out there probably haven't even heard of it before. And that is this vest right here, the Brute Force APC or Anti-Plate Carrier 3.0. I'm going to go over the pros and cons, the quality of construction, how it performs in the gym, price, and more. So let's get into it. So I actually had one of the original versions of the Brute Force vest, but I just wasn't a huge fan of it, and I'll get more into that later. But I was introduced to the 3.0 version last summer. I was doing a competition, and one of the events we were in, we had to wear these vests. And after the event, I was like, okay, I have to get one of these. This is a huge step up from what they had, 5-6 years ago. So I'll start by going over the overall construction of the vest and kind of how it works. So basically the way that this vest works is that you have 10 of these filler bags. You've got 4 spots on the front of the vest, and then you've got 6 spots on the back. And so you've got these little bags and the pouches on the vest that you can fill with whatever kind of material you want. And you can actually buy these directly from Brute Force pre-filled. They've got a 20-pound and a 40-pound option. Or if you prefer, you can buy the unfilled version, which is a little bit cheaper, and you can fill them yourself. So if you were to fill all 10 of these bags with just sand, it ends up being right around 20 pounds. And if you want the vest to be any heavier than 20 pounds, you'll have to add some other type of material to the bags. My vest right now is set at about 30 pounds, and I did a mixture of sand and BBs, actually, like you would put in a BB gun. And if you filled all 10 of the bags with just BBs or the steel shot, you could probably get this thing 40 pounds plus. So for me, being able to change out the weight so easily on the vest is one of the big pros. Unlike a traditional plate carrier vest where you'd have to buy a whole nother set of plates, which are super expensive, by the way, just to be able to change the weight to make it lighter or heavier. With this vest, all you have to do is take out some of the bags or just change the material that you've got in the bags themselves, and you can make this vest lighter or heavier depending on what you're doing with relatively little effort. So you've got the 10 pouches, you've got adjustable shoulder straps right here that Velcro. You can loosen them and tighten them to make it fit you perfectly. And then you have 2 additional straps on the vest itself that keep it tight to your body. The first strap is a big strap that goes into this little flap right here. And sometimes this Velcro can be a bit of a pain, which is something I'll get to in a bit. But this little flap opens up. You've got a strap on both sides that you put underneath there, and then you close this down. And then you've got another side strap here that goes through a little buckle. You feed it back through, and then you Velcro that down. So you've got 2 points on each side holding the vest to your body. And then you've also got some attachment points on the vest itself, on the front and on the back, these little webbing loops right here. And they sell straps that you could hook up to a sled that feeds through this little webbing loop with a carabiner. But you could also use it for a bunch of other things if you just wanted to keep something on your person. Or what I've been doing lately is I've been running with my dog, and so what I'll do is I'll put a carabiner through here and hook it to his leash. And then on the back side of the vest, you've got a handle up top, more of these webbing attachment loops. And something else that I forgot to mention that I feel like is worth mentioning is the fact that it is made in the USA. So if that's important to you, there's that. So as far as overall design of the vest, that's pretty much it. It's a relatively simple system. One of the things that can be kind of annoying with this is that some of the pouches on the vest, especially these bottom 2 pouches on the front, they don't seem quite as big as the other ones. And so when you're going up and you're trying to fill up these filler bags with whatever you're using, it can be difficult because you have to put a little bit less in these bottom ones in order to get it to be able to fit into these pouches on the bottom. And then something else that can be kind of frustrating is that having all of this Velcro on the 2 different straps and then underneath, and then even like the mesh on the inside is kind of sticky. It can be kind of frustrating and annoying trying to put on and take off the vest sometimes because the Velcro is just getting snagged on everything. And I don't really know if there's a way around that, but it can be a little bit frustrating, especially like at the end of the workout when you really want to take the vest off and you're scrambling, trying to rip off all these straps and it just keeps getting snagged. It can be a little bit annoying. And so moving on to how this thing actually performs when you are training. This is where I feel like this vest really shines compared to the traditional plate carriers. So because of the design and the fact that you don't have a big rigid plate in the front or the back, it's able to conform and sit a little bit tighter to your body, which is super nice whenever you're running and moving around. Because if you you've ever done any type of training in a traditional plate carrier type vest, I'm sure you've noticed the plates tend to bounce around. If you're doing push-ups and stuff like that, they'll smack the ground as you're going down. If you're doing pull-ups, it kind of moves around too. But this vest sits tight to your body. It almost kind of feels like an additional layer of clothing almost, because it sits so tight, which is really nice, like I said, especially for those big dynamic movements like running where you're doing a ton of bouncing around. So all in all, I really like this vest for training. I don't really have a whole lot of complaints. The one thing I will say is that because the vest sits so tight to your body, it does get a little bit hotter than a normal plate carrier would. The inside panels of the vest are mesh. However, it doesn't really do a whole lot, it doesn't seem like. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you're someone who runs hot, you tend to sweat a lot, that this thing is probably going to elevate that a bit more than a traditional plate carrier would. But for the other benefits that I mentioned earlier, I think it's a worthwhile trade-off. And so last but certainly not least, let's talk about price. So as I mentioned earlier, you can buy this vest with these little filler bags pre-filled to either 20 pounds or 40 pounds, or you can buy them completely empty and fill them yourself. So if you buy the vest without any of the bags filled, it is $157 without shipping and taxes. The 20-pound option is $196, and the 40-pound option is $235. Something else to keep in mind if you're a veteran, military, or first responder is that they do have a discount through GovX. It is 10%. It says it varies based on the product, but for the vest, when I bought it, I was able to get 10% off with that GovX discount. And so when you compare the price of this vest with the other big name competitors out there, your Rogue plate carriers, your 511 TacTech, your GoRuck weight vest, and your Hyper vest, you can get this vest filled to 40 pounds cheaper than all those other vests to 20 pounds. And on top of that, if you're military, first responder, veteran, like I said, you can use that GovX discount and make it even cheaper. So the price and overall value of this thing, I feel like is pretty hard to beat. Typically when something's on the cheaper end, you're usually making a compromise somewhere, but with this vest, it really doesn't feel like there's any compromise being made. Like I mentioned earlier, I have the Rogue plate carrier, I've used the 511 TacTech and some of these other big name vests, and I prefer to train with this Brute Force vest over all of those. So overall, I think it's pretty clear where I stand with this vest. I really like it, and I prefer it over all the other big names, and I just don't really have too many complaints about it. Other than the vest being a little bit more on the hotter end and the Velcro just being kind of annoying sometimes, I don't really have anything negative to say about it. So if you're in the market for a weight vest, I would highly recommend this Brute Force APC 3.0. If you had one of the older versions of this vest, don't let that deter you. This vest is leaps and bounds ahead of the old previous versions. It is so much better. And in my opinion, it's much better than all the other big vests that are out on the market. So if any of you out there currently have this vest or you've trained with it before, I'd love to get your thoughts on it as well. Do you like it as much as I do, or am I missing something? Am I missing a big flaw here? Because there just don't seem to be that many flaws with it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks again for watching, and we will catch you next time.